Okay, I'm going to share my screen because I have some great pictures to go along. Here it is. Yeah, I was so excited to find a trip I could join with the National Leadership Council. And we went just the end of July, first part of August, and we were in country in Kenya for 6 full days. We saw a lot. We drove hundreds of miles. Kenya is vast, and we went from West Pokot to Baringo, and you would think that doesn't sound like much, but it was a long distances, maybe sometimes a 3-hour drive from our hotel there and a 3-hour drive back again each day. So it was a lot, but as the World Vision staff said, 80% of the roads are paved. So anyway, that was pretty good. This is the World Vision headquarters in Nairobi. I love how they have the old logo there on the left, that symbol. It's really fun to see that for the old timers and part of our history. And then this is the group I traveled with. We just had wonderful staff support. I wish I could tell you about each one, but they were fantastic. This group stayed with us all week long. And those trips in the car were never wasted because we were able to ask questions and have conversations. And it was really great. You can see Margot was there. Margot is a rock star in Kenya. It was like traveling with Taylor Swift, except Margot is very humble. She doesn't ask for the attention. She doesn't soak it. She doesn't soak it up or just, she doesn't crave it, but she in fact would wish she got less. But they love Margot Day. They sing songs about Margot Day. They have poems about Margot Day. It's just so sweet, actually, to see how much they love her. Every school child knows who Margot Day is. And this is St. Elizabeth's. We started kind of at ground zero where Margot had first become involved in 2009. And there are 500 girls enrolled in the secondary school now. It really was so heartwarming and impressive to see this, knowing, I think you've all heard Margot's story. I won't go into all the details, but it was fun to see this area. This is a new dormitory on the left, but these others were dormitories that were already there before Margot came. They were there for the primary school. And Margot was on a trip in 2009, and just as an afterthought, late afternoon, her last day on the trip, they said, hey, Margot, you might want to stop and meet some girls. And this is the dormitory where she met that original group of girls who had run away from home. They wanted to avoid child marriage and FGM. And Margot sat with Justice, was our donor liaison on the whole trip. And he was the man who brought a devotion that day, some thoughts about loaves and fishes. And Margot had brought thoughts about the Lord had put loaves and fishes on her heart. And it all just happened. I guess there used to be a picnic table right there. And that's when she met the girls, and her heart was just totally broken. So the next, this is Rael. She was one of the girls who was in that original dormitory group. And now she's graduated from college. James there was the principal at the time. He was principal for about 20 years, and they just have a new principal now. But they went from just those small group of girls to 500 girls now, and I would love to know all those individual stories. It's just incredible. One more thing before I leave Rael. She's deaf, and right away World Vision arranged for her to go to a school for the deaf in Eldoret. So not only did they rescue her, she'd been married off already, but she ran away from that marriage, and she came and was cared for and loved. And she was just beaming and beautiful as she shared with us. This was in the principal's office at St. Elizabeth's. And then we went on there now from that original program. There are many rescue centers, schools established, and there actually is a shortage of schools because the program is so successful. As one community after another says no to FGM and says, we're going to send our girls to school, they don't have schools for them. So this is Kamnono School in Kasai, and also in West Pokot. West Pokot is a huge county area, not just a village. And these girls greeted us. It was so lovely to see them. These are two of the girls at this Kamnono School, and Dina on the right told us her story. She used to go to school. After a couple of days, she would be expelled because she couldn't pay school fees. She would want to go back. They would send her away. It sounded like she just did that over and over 20 times. And finally, she learned about this school in Kamnono, and she was able to come here. She ran away from home. She was so embarrassed about being sent out of school, and her parents couldn't pay fees. And World Vision welcomed her in, and World Vision paid, the state pays part of the fees, World Vision paid part, and her teachers chipped in and paid the rest. So she has a home now. And Celine's story was really hard to hear. She just lived with her father and some siblings. Her older sister had been married off already, and she was the last child, the last girl at home. And she said, "Father, I want to go to secondary school." And he goes, "Well, just wait, just wait." And she kept saying, "I want to go to school." And finally, one day he said to her, "I have only one cow in the compound, and you are that cow." And he was planning to marry her, get the dowry. And that's a story that's played out over and over again. A girl in Kenya, to many families, just represents a future dowry, cows and goats and sheep. So she said, "Father, my friends are going to school and many are going to university. I could have a good future," and he would have nothing to do with it. So she ran away, and she found her way to this World Vision Rescue Center. She's never gone back home. Her father has not come around to support her, but she feels she has a home here at Kamnono. And then many of the girls many of the girls at the school have escaped FGM. Some have undergone FGM and been married, and then they escape marriage. Some there, though, at St. Elizabeth's and all of these schools, just live so far away, they come and board here, and their parents are supporting their education. And when I went to Kenya this time, my only time to see Kenya Big Dream, but when I went, I really wanted to figure out how this change was happening. It seems to be happening very quickly. And we know these are deeply held cultural beliefs. They're tied to spiritual beliefs in their tribal communities. And I go, is it Empowered Worldview? That's a 4-day program, and you learn who you are in the Lord. But how does that unite whole communities to say no to FGM? Okay, I found my answer in C Change, and it stands for community change. World Vision found a program that was being used by the Red Cross and the UN. They took this program and revised and adapted it. And it's especially targeted at changing deeply held harmful practices. This is a C Change group in Kapanu, which is also in West Pokot. They have been meeting for 8 months weekly. World Vision trains local leaders, and this is not necessarily in the church. Empowered Worldview is always taught and facilitated by faith leaders, but Sea Change is facilitated by people of stature in the community, some of the elders who have gone through it with World Vision in a small group, and then they have trainers and trainers of trainers. So this group has been meeting weekly for 8 months. And they tried to have about 40 to 60 people involved, maybe from several villages. They must have men and women in the group. And different ages. And they start by helping them identify issues in their community that they would like to change. And they just start making a list. And then before they even prioritize them, they look at each issue and they think about it and they talk about what's causing this issue. So by the end of a certain amount of time, usually about 4 months, they have a list. Child marriage, FGM, education, those 3 are almost always in the top 5. In fact, I didn't hear of a time when they weren't. Sometimes clean water might be first, or livelihoods. And then World Vision comes alongside as needed to help them figure out how to solve these problems. If it's clean water, World Vision will address that. They will not say, "Oh no, we have to do FGM first." They really respect the community process and the community members, and they help them go through their list. So this Kapanu Sea Change group had decided that they wanted their children to go to school. That was their first priority. then they realized what was holding children back from going to school was child marriage and FGM. We heard, and then they resolved together as a group. This group has said, we are going to stop FGM. And the chief of the group just, I'm sorry, I can't pinpoint him here. He said, our community no more has FGM. And they said, we are going to stop child marriage. And then they said, we are going to start a school. I'm just going to go ahead real quick. They started a preschool there. They have 90 children in one classroom. The primary school is a long walk. Some of their children go to primary school, and there's no secondary school. So World Vision now is faced with another building project, or they often, whenever possible, they work with the government wants to provide schools. They just have limited resources to do that. But if these kids don't have a place to go to school, it's hard to keep the plan going. So I'm just praying that they will get a school soon. We heard the story of this young woman on the right. She was formerly a brewer. She made alcohol and sold it. She wasn't addicted. She was an alcoholic. She was not caring for her children. None of them went to any kind of school. And she told us how after going through this program and Empowered Worldview, they work Empowered Worldview into the Sea Change when they think it's about the right time for that community. And they now her children are in that preschool. She's doing farming. She has a little shop where she sells sugar. And her friend next to her has a very similar story. She wasn't doing one of the vice kinds of livelihoods, but she hadn't been taking care of her children either. And she has also made a change, and she's I'm pregnant too. She's pregnant. This man, I just will point him out here, Moses. He was our kind of like our best, deepest resource on the trip. He's worked for World Vision Kenya for such a long time. One quote I carried home that Moses said, he said, when World Vision steps into an area, blessings flow. And I just love that, because we saw how these communities who were just living in isolated places met World Vision, and blessings are flowing. We saw the school. Okay, and so, they stop FGM, they stop child marriage, they decide to send their children to school. They've got a dream for a better future. And one of the interventions that we've all, I think, heard about before, our savings group. Here's their box, and this is a savings group in this area. Together we grow is their motto, and they just demonstrated how their group works, but several of them gave a testimony to this man over here, just over her head, is named also Moses. And he said, when I learned that my children need to go to school and I need to be a better father, I decided I would stop going and sleeping in the riverbed every day. And I just kind of laughed. I thought, well, what's he doing sleeping in the riverbed? But we went to several communities where men said they stopped sleeping in the riverbed. And I finally asked the World Vision staff, okay, I've got this picture in my mind of men lying in the riverbed. Most of the rivers are dry right now. And so it's cool there. And World Vision said, yes, the men go to the riverbed to stay cool all day. And their wives do the farming, take care of the children, get the water, everything. But Moses is now home taking care of his family. He's got some animals he's herding. Herding goats is really a popular livelihood in this area. And he's part of this savings group. There are only 3 men part of this group. And they have a business where they together are beekeepers, which is a really good business in this area, because it's not as drought, it doesn't, it can continue on even if there's drought. So it's not as drought vulnerable. So we saw this wonderful group. And then there are other livelihoods. This woman, Dina, she has gone to all the World Vision training, Sea Change, Empowered Worldview, Channels of Hope, Raising Children with Tenderness. She is just a learner. She's changed her life and for herself and her family incredibly. She is the 5th wife of this polygamist man. And she's farming his property now. And she and her friends, her women friends, came and dug a big pond together, and World Vision provided this liner. They can capture rainwater for like 5 months and irrigate her fields. And she's raising so much money that her husband came to greet us and announced that he is the manager of this farm. And we almost thought she rolled her eyes. But anyway, we do understand he's been helping there. He has quit going to the river. He's been doing some of the tilling. He moves the irrigation hose around, and she's building a house out of bricks. So her life is really has changed, and her children are in, she has 2 in university now. It's transformed her life. It's just amazing. And then we were at the site of a new school in, I forget, sorry, Correct in Baringo. And it's a brand new secondary school that's being built there. They've never had a secondary school. This young woman is Cole. She was part of our group. She's the granddaughter of one of the women who came. And kids loved meeting Cole, seeing another 17-year-old person their age. And so, but we got to lay a cornerstone for a new secondary school. This is some more of the foundation that's gone up. It's $1 million building project that will have teacher housing, dormitories, classrooms, a lab, an administration building, and there are about 80 people working on it right now. It should be open maybe they think in less than a year. And this community's never seen anything like this. You go down, we got a flat tire going down the road to this school, and it was, I don't know, 45 minutes on a dirt road to get here. Okay, we met these women here. This was amazing because these are women who used to earn a living by cutting girls, and they're beautiful. They have completely changed their lives. They've given away their tools, and they are doing various livelihoods now with farming. And anyway, it was so great to meet them. Currently, during the next couple of months, they're hired to do cooking for all of those workmen on the school project. We ended our trip on a somber note, I have to say. We went to one of the World Vision offices and learned more about FGM than I kind of ever wanted to know. These are some of the tools. I will never call it female circumcision ever again. It is mutilation. And after they're cut and cut again and mutilated, they put on a black shroud. They put this bead over their face, so the beads cover their face, so their mothers can't even see who they are. They're all hidden. And then they are just told to keep their legs together for 30 days. They're isolated in a little hut until when 30 days is up, they're married. And it's horrifying, just horrifying. So this is why Margot's heart was broken. And here she is in this dormitory. Actually is called the Jackie Day dormitory at that first Kisei Kamnono school. And it's dedicated to her sister who passed away about 5 years ago. Anyway, so we got a tour through and met these girls, and there's Margot. Every community, they would just scoop her up and bring her into the middle of them. And she was always, we all had opportunities to introduce ourselves and to say a few words. And I taught a Bible story in the little preschool. That was really fun, about how Jesus said, "Let the children come to me." But Margot is always, they always want to hear from her. So if you travel with Margot, you don't have to do as much speaking. But she's amazing. And she would always bring them a word from the Lord, tell them how much God loves them. Anyway, it was amazing story. I just want this is Moses again. And he, I thought this was funny. It was the principal's office. It said, "Be brief." And that's really not very African way to be brief. It's all about relationships there. But Moses, he was the man who led us through all of this work. And he's the timekeeper for the group too. So he had to keep all the dignitaries on schedule and in their speeches. And I thought that was a cute juxtaposition of Moses and those words. We got to dedicate a classroom. World Vision had just built 2 new classrooms onto this one of the schools in Lokarkar. And the night before, our donor rep, Terry Johnson from Atlanta, asked a couple of us, "Okay, Sandy and Donna, you can cut the ribbon on one, and Julie and Cole, you can cut the ribbon on another." And there they had our names on the plaque already. That was pretty amazing. And we got to just open the doors and go in. And the community came in and we blessed, there were prayers, and government officials came that day. It was a really big deal. It was so great to see the partnership World Vision has with the community, with the government. It was just really great. So yeah. So anyway, I everywhere I went, I just would say, yes, we are donors, but we represent so many more people back at home. So I tried to give all of you the credit too, because we're all in this together. So, okay, any questions?
Sandy, it's beautiful. Your photos are so powerful. And
Thanks.
I think I can speak for everybody saying you will be booked for their chapter.
Yeah, I'd love to come share about it. I told Cindy and I talked on the phone, and I've never seen a World Vision project moving so fast, so thoroughly, so sustainably, using WASH and livelihoods and education and child protection for sure is the strongest piece of this, but just using all the sectors together. And I don't know, it's really a movement of the Lord. It couldn't just be of man. And I had some time to ask Moses the history of FGM, why it's in some places and not in others. And there was a time when it was probably very widespread, and but when the British came to colonize that country, there were areas like the Maasai and in Samburu County where we're already seeing strongholds break down. Those areas that resisted the British, they became more insular and they were less open to change. But one blessing is the missionary movement in Kenya was more widespread. There is a Christian foundation in almost all of the country, which really helps move the work forward. But anyway, it just was amazing work to see. Yeah.
We are grateful that you got to go. Oh my word.
Oh, me too.
So, Sandy, and what you were just saying, do you think, are you saying that kind of the holdouts was almost political or cultural, like you can't take this from us, also you've taken our land and our people?
I think at the end of the day, it was certainly they didn't respect outside authority coming into their group, but they also didn't get access to education. And I think education is really such a key piece to, I mean, even just education about FGM and about child marriage. It's hard for us to understand that they didn't know what harm this was doing to their girls. So the girls make a pledge that they will never talk about their FGM night. They are not allowed to speak of it. And women they're all in pain the rest of their lives. They have pain pills they take if they're going to have intercourse with their husband. They think that's what all women that's what life is like for all women. And when they find out it's not, they just weep. I've heard, I didn't see that part of it. It's so to bring this sea change, empowered worldview, it's revolutionary. It's changing women's lives forever in Kenya. So that St. Elizabeth's School is really right away, all from the beginning. It's a government school. We just contributed a lot, but it has almost totally transitioned over. I mean, World Vision isn't very involved there anymore for trauma counseling and some resources for tuition, and I know they do meet some needs. They train teachers to do trauma counseling so that they can be the ones helping the girls in the rescue centers, and for the dorm parents to be able to have the tools they need. So I love, that's the great thing about World Vision. They don't have to have staff there forever. They really equip a community. They see their mind change, their worldview change, and they're on it once they know. It's so amazing.
It's interesting that the sea change, you said it's led by the people of stature in the community, which reminds me of Jesus' instructions to go find the person of peace in the community. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that person of peace is religious or Jesus follower or anything. It just that's the person of peace.
Oh,
And it sounds so much like that, you know, people, the person of stature. So it could be a
yeah.
man or a woman or whoever, but it's someone who
Yeah.
the community recognizes as a leader and influencer.
Yeah, I love that parallel. Yeah, it's not the richest, it's not the chief, oh, it's just a trusted person and who, yeah, that's a really good scripture to tie to that.
I had told Sandy when she told me a little bit about the trip that it in some ways did remind me of what we saw in Honduras in terms of the deep mindset change after going through, like in
Yeah.
Honduras, raising children with tenderness. And they didn't know, they just didn't know.
Yeah,
Right. And then it's such a deep change, and it's changing generations.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something that we as women of vision have an opportunity to continue to really talk about as we talk about our projects. It's not just about what World Vision is doing. It's about, for me, I've been thinking more and more about this is part of why World Vision is unique as a Christian organization. We're not just going in and, you know, doing humanitarian relief or,
Yeah.
I mean, we are, but it's this foundation through Christ that is really the difference maker.
you know, and Jesus was up front in front of every place we went, everywhere, every school, they have a Christian curriculum in Kenya that it's just so amazing to me. You know, we have it so separated in our country, and they just pray all the time. They sing praises to the Lord when we enter the schools. We had beautiful greetings with song and dance, and they're often hymns that they're singing, and it's really amazing. Beatrice has been the Kenya Big Dream manager for just a year and a half now. In Kenya, she replaced somebody else. Sorry, don't know, but she's an amazing, lovely person. She'd be a great speaker. Her English is perfect. She loves the Lord, and she said she takes care of her staff. They go to the field during the week and they go home on the weekend, so they're away from their families a lot. But she monitors them. She will just tell them, no, you can't go on that trip with those donors. You need to stay home with your family. And she just helps them stay healthy and grounded, because she says for her team, she thinks this project is successful because to them, it's not a job, it's ministry. They do it to serve the Lord. So I don't know, I could see community change. I could see that being used in many countries. I think it's going to spread like Empowered Worldview did. So anyway, it was
Thank
great.
you, Sandy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.